Hi, I'm Debbie Tougas, and I'm an artist in residence here at the Leir House, and I am sitting in front of my latest series, which is COVID inspired. I actually started getting into art at a very young age. My grandmother was a seamstress, and she created the most beautiful wedding dresses, and I can remember drawing wedding dresses. And after that, I started painting, and I had an aunt that was an artist, so she inspired me to do some painting. So probably by age 12, I did my first painting, and it actually was on black velvet, which is pretty funny. So I'm sure that that's out there somewhere belonging to one of my relatives, which is kind of funny. But then the next painting that I did would have been in high school, and I had some fabulous art teachers that really encouraged me to pursue my art. And in high school, I won a scholarship for fine arts, so that encouraged me to go to school. So I went to Okanagan College in Kelowna, got my fine arts diploma, and after that I went to Emily Carr College of Art, and my jobs that I worked in were all art and marketing related, and I've retired from my job 8 years ago now, and here I am. Now I'm working as a full-time professional artist. So. I think the best advice I could give to a new artist would be to keep yourself organized. What I do is keep a binder with all of my painting information, my client information, their email address, their phone numbers. As I sell a piece, you need to get all that information down rather than, like when I was first sold my first painting, I was so excited that I had a sale that I forgot to get all of the information from the client. And so that's a missed opportunity. So down the road, you're going to want to possibly have a newsletter or just a touch base with that client, and it could lead to further sales. But the client also appreciates that you're keeping in touch with them, and they like to see what work that you're doing now, what your latest pieces are. And by doing that, you create a client base and customers that will become collectors of your artwork. How I deal with artist block, it doesn't happen often to me, but sometimes when I go on holidays and take a break, when I come back, I'm not quite sure where to pick up again and where to get started. Or if I am working on a series like my love letter series or my COVID series, when you get to the end of it, you feel like you've said everything you need to say about that subject, and then you feel like, well, now where do I go from here? So for me, the best way to get over that is by visiting other art galleries, seeing what other artists are doing, looking for inspiration in nature, or going on the internet, or checking out different artists on Instagram or Facebook. That just really helps me. And then experimenting with different techniques. That's always a great way just to get you playing with your paint again, and something will spark and you'll get started again. I think when it comes to style, for me anyways, I've never started painting with the intention of having a certain style. As you grow as an artist, your style develops. So, and it continues to change. So I started painting flowers 8 years ago with very layered glaze, very pretty technique. And when I look at what I'm doing now, it's very bright and not the same technique anyway. So your style just will continue to change as you grow as an artist. And I don't think that you really need to be that concerned about what your style is. Something in that will be specific to you, just because every artist is individual. Nobody can paint like you, think like you. So for me, the consistency in my artwork is the bright colors. That's just the way I love to paint, and that's how it comes out. And people always tell me, I can always tell when it's your painting. I can tell your style, and I have no idea what my style is. I just paint what I love to paint, and it comes out that way. So I suppose I have a style. I think a defining moment for me would be the time that I spent working on the Love Letter series. I was inspired by my grandparents' love letters from the 1930s, and they wrote back and forth to each other. It had to do with love and war and struggle and hope and all of those things that people went through in the 30s. And I learned so much about my grandparents that for the first time I felt like there was a story to be told, and I need to get this down on paper. I need to honor their memory and do paintings that were inspired by these letters. So I really didn't start out thinking that I would do a whole series of them. That's usually how it ends up for me. I do one painting and leads to another painting. Next thing you know, there's so much to be said. There's a subject matter that just kept opening up, and I had no idea if anybody would ever want to buy a painting that it's my family history. But what I found is that when you open yourself up like that, you make yourself more vulnerable, you put your energy into that work, people respond to that, they feel that, and they want your work. So it's a bit of a lesson in not worrying so much about what's going to sell, but what you have to say to the world through your artwork. And I think that was definitely a defining moment for me, to paint what's in my heart and see where it goes from there. Not to say that I still won't paint my beautiful flowers, because I will, and I love to paint feathers and dream catchers, and all of those things still inspire me. But the defining moment for me was taking that chance of painting something that you weren't sure if anybody else would be interested in. But I had a great show, which unfortunately the end of it was canceled due to COVID, but the beginning part of it was fantastic, and I had a great opening night, and I did sell a lot of paintings, so I was really happy about that. How COVID-19 affected me as an artist, I am sitting in front of my series of COVID-19, so art isn't always about pretty pictures. Sometimes it's about painting what's happening to us, what's happening in our world. And I find as I'm growing as an artist, my art's definitely heading down that path of painting series of, for instance, COVID-19. That's what we're all going through. So this is how I deal with it in my own way. I have things to say about what's happening, and I have a feeling about having to wear a mask in public and going to Safeway and being bombarded with signage everywhere and listening over the intercom to all of the rules, and how do we deal with that, and how does it affect us, and when is it ever going to end? And there's a lot of questions, and my way of dealing with it is getting it on paint and getting it on canvas. So I think it opens up a conversation for other people when they're looking at my paintings. They have a message to them, but they're still very bright, and my message isn't hopefully doom and gloom. There's hope there, and it will end. And in the meantime, this is what I have to say about COVID. This is Debbie Tougas being interviewed for the Penticton and District Arts Council. You can find my work on my website at debbietougas.com, or Instagram, Deb Tougas Art, or on Facebook, Debbie Tougas.